In a quiet town nestled among rolling hills, a young man named Eli lived with dreams far larger than the world around him. Willowbrook was a place of simple beauty. Cobblestone paths wound past stone cottages, fields bloomed with wildflowers, and the air carried the scent of fresh bread from the bakery. The townsfolk were content, their days filled with the rhythm of farm work, trade, and family. But Eli was different. His heart pulsed with a restless curiosity, a yearning for places unseen and stories untold. By day he haunted the town's small library, poring over tattered maps and ancient books, his fingers tracing rivers and mountains he'd never seen. By night he sat on the roof of his modest home, gazing at stars that seemed to whisper of distant lands. His room was a shrine to his passion, shelves crammed with globes, compasses, and adventure novels, their pages worn from countless readings. Among his treasures was a worn journal, a gift from his grandfather, a legendary explorer whose tales of far-off shores filled Eli's childhood. One evening, as the sun sank below the hills, casting a golden glow over Willowbrook, Eli sat on his porch, the journal open in his lap. He traced a faded sketch of a mountain range, feeling a familiar ache in his chest, a longing he couldn't name. There must be more to life, he thought, a world waiting for me to explore, to discover, to claim. Closing his eyes, he pictured himself standing on a foreign shore, the wind in his hair, the unknown stretching before him. Little did he know, his wish was about to come true, setting him on a path that would change him forever. The next morning, Eli woke to a strange sound, a soft knock at his door. Sleepy and curious, he shuffled to open it, but no one was there. Instead, at his doorstep lay a weathered envelope, its edges yellowed with age, sealed with a wax crest of a compass rose entwined with ivy. His heart quickened as he broke the seal, revealing a letter written in elegant, curling script. To Eli, it began, "If you seek adventure, go to the old oak tree at the edge of town as the sun sets. There, you will find your path." It was signed with a single letter, A. Eli's mind raced. Who was A? A long-lost relative? A fellow dreamer? The old oak tree was a familiar landmark, its gnarled branches standing sentinel over Willowbrook, a place of local legend. Without hesitation, he grabbed his coat and a small backpack, filling it with essentials, a water flask, a notebook for sketches, and his grandfather's journal, its pages a talisman of courage. As he walked through town, the morning mist swirled around his ankles and a thrill surged through him. The townsfolk went about their chores, unaware of the extraordinary journey Eli was about to begin. Shops opened, children laughed, and horses clopped along the streets, but Eli's eyes were fixed on the horizon. This was it, the call he'd waited for, the spark to ignite his dreams. The world beyond Willowbrook beckoned, and he was ready to answer. Eli reached the old oak tree as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The tree stood alone, its twisted branches reaching for the heavens, a silent guardian of secrets. He circled its base, searching for a sign, and soon spotted a small metal box half buried among roots and leaves. Kneeling, he brushed away the dirt and opened it with a creak, revealing a folded parchment inside. It was a map, its ink faded but intricate, charting a path through forests, over mountains, and along rivers to a distant place marked with a bold X. Beside it lay a brass compass, its needle steady and true, and a note in the same elegant script. "Trust your instincts, the path will reveal itself." Eli's pulse raced. This was no ordinary map. It was a summons to the unknown. He knew the journey would be long and perilous, demanding careful preparation. Returning home, he gathered supplies with purpose. Dried food to sustain him, a water flask, a sturdy tent, warm clothes for cold nights, and a knife for protection. His grandfather's journal went into the pack, its weight a reminder of the legacy he carried. That evening he sat with his family in the warm glow of the kitchen, the smell of his mother's cooking filling the air. He showed them the map and letter explaining his decision to leave. Their faces were etched with worry, but they saw the fire in his eyes, the resolve that couldn't be swayed. "Stay safe, my son," his father said, resting a hand on his shoulder. His mother packed him a loaf of bread and his favorite tea, her hands trembling slightly. His little sister, eyes wide with awe, clung to him. "Bring me stories, Eli," she whispered, "of faraway places and incredible adventures." With a heavy heart but a soaring spirit, Eli promised he would. That night, lying in bed with the map spread before him, he traced the route, imagining the wonders and dangers awaiting him. At dawn, Eli slipped out of Willowbrook, the town still cloaked in sleep. His boots crunched on the gravel path as he followed the map's westward route, leaving behind the familiar fields where he'd played as a child, now bathed in the golden light of morning. Soon he entered a dense forest, a world unlike any he'd known. Ancient trees loomed overhead, their thick trunks covered in moss, their canopies blotting out the sun. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of pine and earth. The compass guided him, its needle unwavering, leading him through a maze of roots and shadows. As the day wore on, the terrain grew unforgiving. He came to a river, swollen from recent rains, its waters churning and roaring. There was no bridge, only a fallen log slick with moisture. Heart pounding, Eli crossed it step by careful step, the current raging below, ready to sweep him away if he slipped. On the other side, steep hills rose, their slopes treacherous. He climbed, his legs burning, sweat beading on his brow. At the summit, he paused, catching his breath, and looked back. Willowbrook was a distant speck swallowed by the horizon. A pang of loneliness struck, but so did a surge of exhilaration. He descended into valleys where the air grew damp, the silence broken only by strange calls from unseen creatures. Each step carried him deeper into the unknown. Each obstacle tested his resolve. Yet Eli felt alive, his senses sharp, his heart alight with the thrill of discovery. After days of travel, each more grueling than the last, Eli emerged from the forest into a clearing that stole his breath. Before him stretched a hidden village cradled in a verdant valley and ringed by misty mountains. Stone houses stood with roofs of golden thatch, their walls adorned with intricate carvings of vines and stars. Gardens burst with flowers Eli had never seen, their colors vivid against the green. The air was rich with the aroma of baking bread and sweet herbs, and tendrils of smoke curled from chimneys. Laughter and music floated on the breeze, warm and inviting. As Eli approached, villagers paused their tasks, tending crops, weaving baskets, and turned to him with curious, welcoming eyes. They spoke a melodic dialect, unfamiliar but beautiful, and though Eli caught only fragments of meaning, their gestures were universal, offering kindness and hospitality. An elder with a flowing scene continues with vivid descriptions, ensuring immersion. Their homes were works of art, each stone carved with care, each garden a testament to their harmony with the land. At night they gathered around fires, sharing stories and songs under a sky ablaze with stars. Eli sat among them, a stranger-made friend, feeling a deep yearning for their unity, their peace. This village, hidden from the world, was a treasure beyond gold, a living, breathing marvel. Eli's days of peace in the village were broken by an unexpected arrival. As dawn painted the valley in soft pinks, a stranger rode in on a sleek horse, his presence casting a shadow over the morning's warmth. His name was Marcus, a rival explorer known for his ambition and ruthlessness. Tall and commanding, he scanned the village with calculating eyes, seeing not its beauty but its potential for profit. Fertile land, abundant resources, a discovery to claim as his own. He spotted Eli among the villagers, and a sly grin spread across his face. Marcus dismounted, striding forward with arrogance, ignoring the villagers' wary glances. He declared his intent to claim the village as his find, to return to the world with tales of its riches, his name etched in history. The villagers huddled together, their faces tight with fear, sensing his greed like a storm on the horizon. Eli felt a surge of protectiveness for this place and its people. He stepped forward, his voice steady despite the knot in his chest, challenging Marcus to leave them in peace. Marcus laughed, a cold, mocking sound, dismissing Eli as a naive dreamer. The tension crackled like a gathering storm, the villagers watching, their future hanging in the balance. Eli knew he couldn't let Marcus destroy this sanctuary, but the path ahead was fraught with danger. Faced with Marcus's threat, Eli sought help from the village elder, a wise man named Oro, whose gentle eyes held the weight of years. In Oro's home, surrounded by shelves of scrolls and carved wooden figures, Eli explained the danger Marcus posed. Oro listened, his face grave, and agreed that action was needed. He called for his granddaughter, Lyra, a young woman with a quiet strength and a deep knowledge of the land. Lyra knew every path through the valley, every stream and hidden glade, moving through the forest like a shadow. Together, Eli and Lyra forged a plan under the flicker of candlelight. Lyra would use her skills to lead Marcus astray, spinning a tale of treasure hidden deep in the mountains to lure him away from the village. Meanwhile, Eli would document the village's culture, its art, stories, and traditions to build a case for its protection, hoping to preserve it as a historical treasure when he returned home. As they worked, a bond grew between them. Eli shared his love of exploration, his dreams of seeing the world, and Lyra spoke of her connection to the land, her pride in her people's ways. Their alliance, born of necessity, blossomed into trust and mutual respect, a partnership rooted in shared purpose. The village slept, unaware of the efforts to shield it, but Eli and Lyra carried the weight of its future. The plan unfolded beneath the cloak of night. Lyra, disguised as a humble guide, approached Marcus with a fabricated story of a cave brimming with gold and gems hidden in the rugged mountains. His eyes gleamed with greed, and he agreed to follow her, leaving the village behind. As they trekked into the wilderness, Eli worked tirelessly, sketching the village's carvings, transcribing its oral histories, and photographing its woven textiles. Each detail was a piece of a puzzle, a testament to the village's worth, but Marcus was cunning. Doubting Lyra's winding paths, he turned back, finding Eli amidst his notes and drawings. Rage twisted his face as he realized the deception. He lunged at Eli, demanding the map and evidence, his voice a snarl of betrayal. Eli clutched his work tightly, backing away, his heart pounding. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Marcus drew a knife, its blade glinting in the moonlight. Eli stood his ground, declaring the village's right to peace, his voice firm despite his fear. At that moment, a rustle broke the silence. Lyra appeared from the trees, followed by a dozen villagers, their faces set with determination. They had tracked Marcus, ready to defend their home. Lyra's voice cut through the night, calm but unyielding, ordering him to leave or face consequences. Outnumbered and cornered, Marcus cursed, his plans unraveling. With a final glare, he vanished into the forest, his threat lingering like a shadow. The villagers embraced Eli and Lyra, their relief a chorus of gratitude, their home safe for now. With Marcus gone, the village came alive with joy. A grand feast filled the central square, tables laden with roasted vegetables, fresh bread, and sweet fruits. Music rang out, flutes and drums weaving melodies that danced with the firelight. Villagers young and old joined hands, their laughter a song of triumph. Oro the elder stood before them, raising a carved wooden amulet inlaid with colorful stones, a symbol of protection and friendship. He placed it around Eli's neck, his voice warm with gratitude, urging him to carry their memory always. Eli, moved by the gesture, vowed he would cherish it forever. In return, he offered the village his grandfather's journal, now filled with his own sketches and stories, a gift to inspire their future. The villagers accepted it with reverence, promising to pass it down through generations. As the celebration faded, Eli knew his time to leave had come. He had found the adventure he sought, but also a second home, a family bound by shared struggle. On his final morning, Lyra walked him to the village's edge where the forest stretched back toward Willowbrook. Their farewell was quiet, filled with unspoken promises. Eli thanked her for teaching him courage, for showing him the strength of community. Lyra smiled, her eyes bright, grateful for the hope he'd brought. As he stepped into the trees, the amulet warm against his chest. He carried memories that would shape him forever. Eli's journey home was swift, his steps light with the weight of experience. The hills of Willowbrook rose to greet him, their familiar curves both comforting and strange, as if he saw them through new eyes. His arrival sparked a wave of joy. His family rushed to embrace him, tears mingling with laughter. His sister tugging at his sleeve for tales of his travels. That evening they gathered by the fireplace, its glow casting shadows on the walls. Eli shared his story, the hidden village, the threat of Marcus, the courage of Lyra and Oro. He showed them the amulet, its stones catching the firelight, and spoke of the bonds he'd forged. True to his word, he presented his evidence to the town's scholars, who marveled at the village's culture and vowed to protect it as a historical treasure, safe from greed. Eli was no longer the restless boy who'd left Willowbrook. He was an explorer with purpose, shaped by lessons of bravery and connection. Adventure, he'd learned, was not just seeking the unknown, but standing for what was right, building bridges between hearts. As he settled into life, he often looked to the stars, thinking of Lyra and the village, knowing they shared the same sky. Their bond endured, a quiet promise of stories yet to come. And in his heart, Eli knew this was only the beginning.